Hey, Chris, good to have you here. For those of you who do not know, this is Chris Orzakowski, one of our top members. You are the leading expert in email. So, can you tell us a little bit about your business and why you're here at Copy Chief?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much, first of all. Yeah, so I've been a copy chief for 5 years, and I started off as a solo freelancer. Now, the reason I stick around is because it's obviously what's cutting edge. It's great networking, and then also now that I have my email marketing agency, it's somewhere that I have pulled a lot of writers from to hire for my own organization. So yeah, that's the nutshell of it all.
That's really awesome. So, you've been here 5 years. I mean, that's longer than a lot of our members. What is your favorite Copy Chief story? Maybe a fun story about Kevin, something in the forum. Do you have any of those?
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, my favorite Copy Chief stories are from Copy Chief Live, because it's so much fun when you can take everything, from the digital world to the physical world. And I think just my favorite experiences. I don't know if I have any particular stories off the top of my head, but favorite experiences are definitely just you should be hanging out there, meeting everyone in real life, and then always the cigar nights that we have down in St. Pete.
Cigar nights in St. Pete? That sounds amazing.
Yeah, because usually what happens is all the women have their usually there's the tight nights thing. So like all of us men are sitting around like, what do we do? So we always just go to the cigar shop, usually that Monday or whatever day it is. So it's a lot of fun.
I love it. Florida has great cigar shops, that's for sure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest thing that everyone has faced globally, and it's not often that literally the whole world faces the same obstacle in one way or another. So I would like to talk about how your business has thrived or what things you have faced just because of the pandemic. So what was the biggest obstacle that you and your business faced just because of COVID-19 taking over the world?
It's a good question. So we had our son actually like in the heat of the pandemic. Like my son Blake, he was born March 31st, and that was like my wife had to we all had to wear masks in the hospital like the entire time. So we were like really unsure of what was going on. I mean, I think, there's definitely been struggles, but for instance, especially everyone's business and marketing budgets, the first thing to get cut is always the advertising and marketing expense whenever anything bad happens in the economy or in the world, or, any major event. That's usually the first thing to go. So obviously that's how people like us make a living. But I think for me, the biggest, it was just not knowing what's going to happen. And I remember I wanted to take a little paternity leave, which didn't happen because I was just like, I don't know what's going on. We just got to put the pedal to the metal and floor it basically, and just work every single day until we come out on top. So my business actually did grow though, just because what I realized was that everyone's home, everyone's online, 24/7, even more so than they were before, because they're not at the office, they're not at school, they're not doing all these things. So I think it was actually a really good opportunity for a lot of people in our space to, I think initially there was a little bit of hesitation with a lot of brands and companies, but then everyone in the world kind of collectively realized at the same time, like, holy crap, I need to figure out this online marketing stuff. So the people who did already have established online marketing, programs and funnels and those kind of things, they eventually started ramping it back up because they realized that's where the attention was. Everything was online now. And all the people who had nothing in the first place were, stumbling over themselves to get everything set up. So I think initially everyone took a dip, but then our people definitely had, like a lot of success.
Yeah. What do you see as an email marketer? What do you see the future of email marketing being in the next 5 years?
It's a good question. I think what's going to happen is all these social media companies are going to start to fold. And I think the first one is going to be Facebook. And yeah, I think emails is going to get more and more important, because I don't remember where I heard this from, and I wish I could give attribution. I just don't remember off the top of my head, but someone said like the future of the internet is small, where TV, all these other mediums, radio were mass market mediums, right? But nowadays it's about really going after your niche in these little pockets of the right kind of people and the right kind of prospects and little communities and tribes and things like that. And I think that's what email is, right? Like email is like everyone's inbox is a little bit different. Everyone's inbox is kind of reflection of their own interests and the topics they like learning about and the content they like reading and the stores they like shopping from. And it's very unique. So I think email is just going to get more and more important, and owning assets. And I think everything that's going on with like the tech world, like, I'm not going to take a political stance, a bit of a political issue. I understand that, but like, there's a lot of censorship and deplatforming, and a lot of just, even just Facebook ad accounts, like people get shut down for nothing political to do about, nothing wrong with the messaging. Like I know a guy, he was advertising on Google, Facebook, all these places. His accounts got shut down. He was selling like baby clothing and accessories. I'm like, what's dangerous about that? You know what I mean? Like it's very, but then again, like you don't know, you don't know why you're getting shut down. You don't know why you're getting limited and you're getting throttled and these kind of things. And you might never know. And honestly, some of the people who work at these companies, they don't even know how the algorithms work half the time, right? So all that is to say that the more and more you put your stock into other people's platforms, not your own platform, people are just going to continue to get screwed over. And once, I think there's a big awakening where people realize they need to own their own assets, and email is the only asset you could really own, because email, I remember hearing from Andre Chaperon a while back, he said that email is a part of the internet. It's built into the internet where the platforms kind of sit on top and they change all the time. So email is just going to get more and more important. I'm not worried about it at all. I laugh, I remember back 2015, 2016, everyone's like, email's dead. And I'm like, email is still here. And whatever platforms or funnels or BS you were talking about, that's the stuff that's dead. So I'm very bullish.
It's very interesting that social media is the hot new topic, but it has much less of an engagement rate, especially as far as ads are concerned, than email does. Like typical 22% open rate, I think, is the average for email across the board, and at least 3% click through rate. And we're sitting here at like point something percent of engagement on social media. And people, I don't think, realize, even though email is so old in marketing terms, it's very long lasting. And I think you're right on that. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's where the money comes from. Like you need to acquire somehow, you need to get eyeballs somehow, and social and the internet and blogs and those kind of, and offline, well, it'll always be good for that. But the retention, the lifetime value, that, and the lion's share of money. Yep, that's right. That all comes from it's my son Blake. That all comes from email. And I know brands who, my brand, I make 99% of my money from email, and there's a lot of e-commerce brands I know even who make 90% or more, or 50% more of their revenue just from email. So, it's essentially, if you're not doing it, you could be leaving 50-90% of your revenue on the table. So
Kidding. So Chris, what is one piece of advice that you'd give to a freelancer who looks at you and thinks like, wow, like you're so successful. What can I do to be just as successful as you?
find one client and go really deep with them for 2 years. And that is never the advice that anyone ever wants to hear. But I think that where a lot of freelancers go wrong is that what happens is the way that freelancing works, or the way that it always did work, was, let's say you were a photographer for Vogue magazine and it's 1988, right? And or whatever, I don't know how long that magazine's been in existence, but let's just pretend, right? So you would work there, you work there for 10 years, you build up a book, you build up a contact list, you build up a network, and you have all these things. Then you say, you know what, I don't like this job situation, I just want to be untethered and freelance and hop around. And then you have contacts, you have other people at other companies, you can walk around the city, you can show your book to people, you get jobs, right? We do the exact opposite. We say, I want to be a freelancer, I have no contacts, I have no book, I have no experience, I have nothing, and we need to build that from scratch. So what I've always found is that if you just take the approach of going super deep with one client, not only do you gain the contacts, do you gain the experience, do you gain the confidence, do you gain the book and the portfolio and the testimonials and expertise and all those things, but you gain the skill and the ability and the confidence in yourself that you can go out and do this for other people as well, because now you're proven. And also you just have, like, it's just completely different because you get to see the entire picture of how you're, like, I remember when I was younger in copywriting, like earlier on in my career, I was like, yeah, like copy is super important, and like it's like the linchpin and blah blah blah, and like it definitely is to a certain extent for some of the things you're doing, but there's so many other things that go on in the business owner's mind or a hiring manager's mind or a CMO's mind, besides just like the copy is just one piece of it, the marketing is just one piece of the puzzle. There's the fulfillment, there's the operations, there's the HR, there's the finance, there's like a lot that goes on, and like you just don't know any of that stuff when you're just freelancing from project to project. Like what I did was I worked super deep with John Assaraf's team over at Neurogym for 31 months straight. I was on retainer, and it was a retainer, but it was essentially like more than a part-time role, less than a full-time role. So it was close to full-time. I mean, there were weeks when it was definitely, I was working 40 hours a week, because I just had to, because we were in the middle of a launch. So I got to see, I got to talk to the social media people. I got to talk to people. I got to talk to all these people and see how their roles fit in with what I was doing, and that just made me a better marketer. And that made me understand too. It's not just that, but it's also having the reps and the experience. Like I had reps every single day. I had deadlines every single day. I had to crank out copy like it was no one's business. They said we need 6 emails tomorrow. I said I'll stay up till midnight and get it done, and I got it done, and we shipped, and we didn't miss deadlines. Right. So those are the kind of intangible things that you don't get when you're just a freelancer. You're doing 1 or 2 projects a month, hopping from client to client, industry to industry. You just don't develop those muscles. So like I'm 31 years old, going to be 32 in a couple months. The reason why I've achieved so much success at such a young age, when you can look at other people, like I think John Carlton started this when he was 31, right? I could be wrong, but I know it's around that age. Other people came to this later in life. The reason why I am where I am at this age, I mean, I've been doing it for 8 years. Yeah, that's one thing, but it's the decisions that I've made to go super deep with clients from the very beginning, rather than dispersing my efforts and my expertise in a million different directions. It's kind of like essentialism, where there's the diagram with the circle in the middle and the little arrows, and then the essentialism model is going super deep in one direction.
That makes so much sense, even though I would not have consciously thought through that before. So I really appreciate that's a good piece of advice for me as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone wants the freelancing dream, but like you got to go get a job. Like that's what you got to do. You really just, and if you get a job, time's going to pass and life is long. And that's the thing. Like people say life is short, and it is, but at the same time, it's also very long. And you spending 2 years with one company it's going to be a drop in the bucket in when you look back at the scope of your career, of a 30 or 40 or even 20-year career, like that's only 10%. What I mean? You have 90% left of your career to be a freelancer and live the lifestyle. So it's one of those things where, if you sacrifice a little bit of freedom, and nowadays, like with remote work and making your own schedule and project management software, like, you are, it's the freedom thing is just, it's never been an issue to me.
Yeah. It's not like you're spending 10 hours in a blacksmith shop or something, apprenticing under that. It's completely different.
Yeah, you're not locked in the basement, tethered to your keyboard. Like, you can you can go for a walk, you go on vacation, like you do whatever you want to do with most companies, but that's the key. I mean, and it doesn't have to be a job, but it has to be super deep with the company for a long time, where you could immerse yourself and see how everything works, and then that'll just make you a better marketer all around.
That's true marketing goal. Thank you so much for sharing, Chris.
Yeah.